What's up, everyone? This is another episode of Catfish on Ice. This is episode
Mhm,
123
mhm.
of
Yes,
Catfish on Ice with your hosts, Chad Minton and Rich Howe. Rich, how are you doing tonight? How's everything going?
doing good. Just still reeling from that win. I know you were
Oh,
there.
man,
It was amazing, right?
I was there. My luck continues. My good
Yeah, that's
fortunes
right.
continue when I go to games. I've had some really good luck. I'm not saying I have anything to do with it, but it
You never
does
know.
seem like I got a little bit of good luck on the team when I go to the game in person.
Hey, I'm about 50-50. So sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. So
I guess that means that I'm gonna have to start finding ways to go to every game, but
I
that's gonna be
know.
really hard for me to pull off. But
Well, I mean,
I gotta do it for the team. I gotta do it for the team. I guess I
Nashville,
don't know.
the Predators should definitely give you some season tickets.
So listen to this, Rich. The guy I went to the game with on Tuesday against the Flames, the guy that had an extra ticket for me, my buddy Alex. Shout out to Alex if he's watching tonight.
For sure.
Um, Alex has season tickets about 10 rows off the glass behind the goal, but kind of to the corner a little bit. So you get a perfect
Oh,
angle.
corner. Yeah,
Yes. And
corners
that
are
those are
great.
those are his season tickets. And he already slated me in for game 6 of the first round if the Preds make it there.
Awesome.
So
Man,
Preds, don't let me
please.
down. He's got a rotation of friends, so he told me I can't.
Oh, you just
He said he
yeah,
can't get me in
gotcha.
game 3 or game 4, but he said he's got me on the rotation for game 6. So
Hey, man,
Preds, you got to push it to game 6 at least.
at least game 6. Yeah, I saw some of your pictures. It looked like it was a good time.
Oh,
So,
it was the best. I'm not even exaggerating here. I've been to so many games in my life, but those are
yep.
probably the best seats I've ever had, and it's just because of the view of the ice.
Yes.
You really get an appreciation for the play developing. You can see
Hmm.
everything happening. It's just the perfect vantage point. The
Yep.
only time it's kind of not the best is if all the actions on the other end. You've really got to pay attention, or you've got to use the
Right.
jumbotron. But it's
Yeah.
still like the best
Yeah.
seats I've ever
The
been
last,
uh been
go
lucky to
ahead.
sit in. So yeah.
Yeah. The last couple of times I went, we were in the section where the Lexus Lounge is, but we weren't
Oh yeah.
like in the Lexus Lounge area.
That's a good
Right,
area.
right in that corner, man. Those are the best seats because you
The
can just
corner
see
seats, you can see the whole ice, you can see the play
everything.
develop.
Yeah,
But I've
it was
always said
awesome.
this. I've always said this. There really isn't a bad seat in that place.
No,
I mean,
no, not at all.
even if you're sitting up in the 300s, which is where I'm always usually at,
The same.
you still got a great view of the ice.
Hmm.
It's a great experience. There's a reason why Bridgestone Arena is always voted one of the best sports arenas in the
Yeah,
world,
for sure,
not just the country, but the world. So shout out to Bridgestone Arena.
for
But
sure. Awesome
yeah, they were
place.
great seats. Shout out to Alex, my friend,
Yeah, that's
who's
cool.
he reads all of our stuff on predlines.com. He's a big fan of that, but he also checks out the podcast. I haven't
Cool,
got him on the
cool.
YouTube thing yet. I don't know if he has a YouTube account, but
Oh,
really, really good friend of mine, and I really
that's awesome.
appreciate him a lot for bringing me to that game. All
Yes, for
right, we
sure.
are we are presented by DraftKings. We're a part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We hope everyone's having an awesome week, coming off that thrilling
Oh,
3-2 shootout win over the Calgary Flames. And like I wrote an article about this on Predlines
yep.
earlier in the week. Every time the critics, including myself, you can throw
And
me
my
in on this.
and me. And me.
Every time we want to doubt this team, they literally channel their inner Lee Corso, which is the college football guru, who likes to say "not so fast, my friend." That's what I woke up thinking about that game on Wednesday morning. Thinking about that game was
Yep.
the Preds just keep saying "not so fast, my friend." What do you think about it, Rich?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking if people listened to episode 122 when we were with the Barn Burner guys from Calgary,
Mm-hmm.
they probably thought that we were like the worst fans in the world because like we were so down and like just we were like everything is just horrible and bad. And then look what they did. They proved us wrong yet again. I mean, I was really not thinking it was going to end well, but it ended great. It was a great game. Great game. It was very enjoyable for sure. So
Yes, it was one of those games where I got to tell you, it was just First of all, the biggest thing about that game that I got from it was how it was probably one of the best defensive games the Preds have played all season. It's got to be in the top 3 or 4 best defensive games they have played all season. And we're really going to recap this game, but just to kind of give you a little bit of what really stood out, the Predators, they came in extremely focused for that game. They treated it like it was a playoff elimination game. And that's what I really appreciate about this team is that they do know when their backs are against the wall and they got to get a win. I got to give them a lot of credit for that. They're also really bad about having really bad games out of nowhere. And they've had plenty of those this season as well. So they're very helter-skelter, and that's what really drives us crazy. But I will say that game against Calgary on Tuesday night, they treated it like, you know what, this is a playoff preview. We are still playing for our playoff lives here. Let's treat it like it's a playoff game here.
For sure.
And it had a playoff atmosphere to it. It really did. There were a lot of Flames fans in the building. Not a ton. It wasn't like a Blackhawks game or a Blues game, but there were some Flames fans in the building. I had a guy that was sitting right behind me.
I saw that.
Who was such a nice guy. It's like, awesome. I can't even talk trash to you because you're so nice.
Yeah, right.
It was like you're taking all the joy out of it. You're so nice.
Yeah. That's usually the way it goes.
But this guy knew his hockey. He was so smart. Like, he knew everything about the sport. Awesome. He was kind of commentating the game as it was happening to his girlfriend, which kind of annoys me, but it's okay. But he was still a really nice guy. And we were really having a good conversation and a good little back and forth as we were heading into overtime.
That's cool.
And so that was a lot of fun. It was a great game.
Yeah.
We will recap this game further in our opening face-off coming up here. So stay tuned for that. We're going to give you a quick preview of the next matchup, which is against Tampa. It just doesn't get any easier, Rich.
It's a grinder, man. The rest of the season's a grinder. It's not good, but we'll see what happens. Mike Twitter's in here. He said, we represented how all of Preds Nation was feeling about the Preds at the time. Seems like it.
True, but to be fair here, that one really inspiring and gutsy win still hasn't changed my overall thought process of this team, which is they've still got a lot to prove to me before I'm ready to think that they've changed or that they're ready to actually do something special in the playoffs. We've already been very, very adamant about this. They might sneak into the playoffs. That's still, what does that really mean if they just lose in the first round again? So, yes, it was a very impressive and exciting win, and you love that. Kudos to this Predators team for focusing and getting a win they desperately needed to have against a very high-quality Flames team. Kudos to all of them for that. They responded, but it takes more than just one game like that for you to change my mind.
Yep.
We'll get into it more, but we're really going to look ahead to this Tampa Bay Lightning game in a little bit because I'm telling you, what scares me about this Tampa Bay game coming up is, are the Predators just going to do a 180 and give us another really bad game? That's what I'm afraid of.
They can't.
Because if they do that, it pretty much erases the win over Calgary. Let's say the Predators, again, I'm being devil's advocate here. Let's say the Predators go into this game against Tampa Bay and they get beat 6-2 or 5-1. It's another complete, just lopsided loss, which we've seen happen 3 times in the last month now.
For sure.
Well, that Calgary game's really not going to mean much anymore. We're going to be right back to square one again about this team. So what I'm saying is, and I wrote this in my Predlines.com article, I need to see this team string this together for several games. And they've only got 5 games left. So I need to see them really finish out this 5-game stretch playing like they did against Calgary. And then you might just give me a little bit more confidence. But until then, whether you make the playoffs or not, you're going to have to prove something to me. All that Calgary win means to me is, okay, they want to make the playoffs. They're probably almost certainly going to get in the playoffs now. That's all it really means to me.
Yep. And then could get swept, but we don't know.
I don't see this team as a team. I don't see this team as a team that's going to get swept, even if they play Colorado. The way they play and how hard they play, I could see them doing what they did against Carolina last year and pushing it to 6 games somehow.
That's true.
But as far as actually getting a first round win, we'll save it. We'll save it a little bit later in this episode. Yeah,
for sure.
Let's also, on the playoff theme, we are going to go back and look at some of the best individual performances in Preds playoff history. And we will tie that into this current team. Me and Rich will both list some players on this current team who some of them are obvious, most of them are obvious. And we're going to talk about some of these players about how they're going to have to do that this year for sure. These similar type performances that we've seen this team do in the past. As a lot of people don't realize this, especially fans outside the Predators fan base, just casual hockey fans. They don't realize that if the Predators make the playoffs this year, it'll be their 8th consecutive year of making the playoffs.
Yeah. I haven't looked it up. I don't know who else has done that, but that's a pretty good run.
That would be a good thing to research. I'm not sure either how many more teams have made that many. I know Pittsburgh's got to be up there for that.
No, yeah, I'm sure they are.
But we don't have the numbers in front of us.
Yeah, I do not. Didn't even think about it, but.
And we will round out this episode with our NHL Quick Hitter segment. We've got some really good topics around the league that we need to touch on. We will do that fast-paced, rapid fire to close out episode 123.
The stupid seal. Well, if you don't count the bubble, I think we can count the bubble, but
the bubble does go down in history as a playoff appearance.
It was ugly and weird, but
the Stanley Cup qualifiers counted as a playoff appearance. It did officially in the rule book, in the record books, count as a playoff appearance. Yep. So we might disagree with that and think, no, that's dumb. It shouldn't count, but it did in the playoff record books anyway.
For sure. It's all good.
All right, like we said, again, we're presented by DraftKings, our awesome sponsor. We'll tell you more about DraftKings later in this episode. We do have our promo code THPN for a really good NHL offer this week. You need to really take advantage of that. We'll tell you more about it later in this episode. So I was at the Calgary Flames game this past Tuesday. It was probably one of the better games, one of the more exciting games I've been to in a long time. Got a chance to talk to our friend Boyd, who's been on the podcast at Penalty Box Radio. He was at the game. Got to talk to him a little bit about it, so it was good seeing him again. And it was a lot of fun. But as far as the game itself is concerned, really what stood out was, again, the defensive performance that the Preds put on. It was a really good team defensive effort. They totally protected their worn-out goaltender that has made the most starts in the NHL right now, and that is, of course, UC Saros. They protected him. They made sure he had an easy night and didn't have to make too many crazy saves. They did the opposite of what they've shown us do a lot of times, which is Saros has got to put up a 40-plus save performance to even give the team a chance to win. That was what really stood out to me. What stood out to you, Rich, in that game against the Flames on Tuesday?
Well, definitely that. They owed UC Saros a big, huge, fat apology, and David Riddick, for that matter, for what they did happened in the Blues game. Just the defense was good. They were actually passing well. It looked like, there was a couple little things. Forsberg got back on the score sheet, which was awesome, with a goal. He hadn't scored a goal since April 1st, and it was quite the shot, power play goal in the first period. Matt Duchene got one. It was just a good all-around effort, and it shows how well they can play when they play their game and don't try to play the same game as their opponent.
And that's what it takes against teams like the Calgary Flames. Yep. And I will say this, talking about potential first-round matchups, and it really comes down to either Calgary or Colorado at this point. There is an outside chance that the Preds could finish in the top 3. It's mathematically possible. And it's still mathematically possible that Calgary does not win the Pacific Division, although Calgary can wrap that up tonight against the Dallas Stars, no less.
Please beat the Dallas Stars.
So a team that we were just rooting against and playing against on Tuesday, we're now fans of.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, our friend Clint is in here. He looked up the playoff appearances. Pittsburgh leads with 15 in a row. Preds and Capitals are tied for second with 7 apiece.
Look
Thank
at
you for
Clint.
looking that up.
Look at Clint coming in
Awesome,
strong
man.
there. Hey,
Awesome.
so we normally do we do clutch performers of the week on Mondays, right, Rich?
Yes.
Well, it's
For sure.
not Monday, but guess who our clutch performer of the week is? It's going to be Clint Landers for coming up with that stat right there.
For looking
Nice
that up.
job, Clint. That's a really good stat you just shared with us. Perfect. That's why we love all of our listeners and all of our YouTube viewers, because they really do build the podcast. And they do a great job. And so we love all of our listeners and all of our live viewers on our YouTube channel. So Clint, thank you for sharing that awesome stat there. Sure. So I figured it was the Pittsburgh Penguins. I knew that they've been in the playoffs like so many years. 15 in a row is insane to think about. Here's the difference, and Preds fans aren't going to like this. The Penguins actually have cups to show for it. We do not.
They do.
I hate to say it. I'm just being objective here. What's up, Lindsay? Lindsay's in the chat. Lindsay's the big Calgary Flames fan, but she's also a Predators fan. She adopted the Predators as her second team, and she said, I'm glad you had a great time. It was a weird game for me to watch. I was sad and happy at the same time.
Yep.
Lindsay, I'm sorry you had to go through that experience, because I know how it feels when you see two teams play each other that you love. I'm a big football fan, and when I have to see the Titans play the Green Bay Packers, that's kind of the same idea for me. So it's very conflicting, but I guess you can get a little bit of solace in the fact that the Flames did not need that game nearly as bad as the Predators did.
No.
You can take it that way.
Absolutely.
I got some crazy. So here's another thing that ties into how I think the Predators played one of their better, most disciplined games that we've seen in a while. Not just defensively, but look at this. The Predators only had 6 penalty minutes in this game.
What?
That's very low for them, Rich, and you know that.
That's
6
crazy.
penalty minutes. That's like, I don't even know if that's like possible ever again to ever happen.
It's crazy.
I might see like a UFO fly over my sky and land on my front porch before I see the Predators have that low of penalty minutes ever again in a game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's big though. That was key, and I really did notice in the game that they were playing a very disciplined style game. They were still hitting, they were still playing their style, but they were playing smart. They weren't chasing the puck. They weren't being put in these positions where you have to commit the sloppy penalties, like the tripping penalties. Those tripping penalties where your stick gets caught out there, or those hooking penalties where you're getting beat and you get frustrated and you throw your stick out there and you get called for a cheap hook. You didn't see any of that. You didn't see that. The Calgary Flames did get one power play goal in this game, but for the most part, the Preds were really smart defensively, and it showed also in the low amount of penalty minutes they took. So that was big.
Awesome. Yep. Predators got a power play goal. It's been a while since they've got one of those. Feels like. I don't know exactly when the last one was, but I looked it up right before we came on. They're still 7th in the NHL for the power play.
They're hanging around.
I was a little surprised because it seemed like it's been a while, but I guess it hadn't. So yeah, that was good to see.
It also feels like they haven't been getting a lot of power play opportunities lately. That might just be me just making something up totally, but it feels like they haven't been getting as many power play opportunities lately. But another thing that's very impressive, so they keep the penalties down to 6 penalty minutes, but they still find a way to rack up 40 hits. So it's not like they were playing cautious, or it's not like they were not playing their style. It's just they were playing a very clean game, a clean game. And so to get 40 hits, but only 6 penalty minutes, that's a really big positive ratio for me.
It's a good
and then
balance.
Also, they got 18 block shots, which is a really good total there. Dante Fabro had 4 blocks. Alexander Carrier gets 3 blocks. Alexander Carrier, I've said this in the past, not enough people are talking about how good of a season Alexander Carrier is having, as also he is considered a rookie this year. So we got to throw some more love to Carrier. He racked up 3 block shots. Yossi had 3 blocks. Janot had 2 blocks, 7 hits. And Mark Borowiecki also had 2 blocks and 7 hits. And for whatever reason, Mark Borowiecki felt like he didn't want to be in the penalty box too much that night.
That was another shocker.
No fights. We had
No
some
fight?
scrums, but really no big fights in
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't played each other in a long time, so I wouldn't
But
know
you know what?
they'd
It's
have
kind
to
of
be mad about.
surprising. It's also kind of surprising that you didn't see any fights in a game like this because both teams play very similar physical, hard-hitting styles,
That's
and
true.
both teams probably realize that they will end up facing each other in the first round. It's still very possible.
I don't remember which penalty Calgary committed, but I think it might have been the one when somebody hit Colton Sissons and he went down, and they were saying that he flopped.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I can't remember who did it.
It was
was it Mangiapane?
I was gonna say Mangiapane was the guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
And it was
he was angry.
It was definitely it was a game changing penalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was. That was a kind of a fork in the road point of the game there.
Yeah,
and it was kind of a bang bang play, but I think it was a penalty. I do, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I truly, objectively feel like it was a penalty. You've got to pay attention to where you're skating. You've got to know where you're at on the ice, and
for sure.
I mean, it's an unfortunate penalty to take at that moment, but I think it was clearly a penalty, and it was one that just really benefited the Predators in that situation. But you look at this game here. So this is something I really took note of, and it goes back to the defensive performance from this team. Going into the third period, Rich, the Flames only had 12 shots on goal.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They finished the game with 21, but they entered this third period with only 12 shots on goal. Yep. That's a winning formula for any team.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
That was the 21 shots allowed is the lowest they've allowed since their 8-0 win over San Jose on March 5th. Their other lower totals on the season, they allowed 19 to Chicago in a 3-2 win on December 17th. They only allowed 16 shots to Detroit on a December 7th 5-2 win. There were two other times this season where they only allowed 21 shots on goal. Weirdly enough, when they played Buffalo, we did a watch-along episode for this game. When they only allowed 21 shots to Buffalo on January 13th, they still lost that game 4-1.
Yeah.
But that's a very rare thing to happen. That's like such a fluke to lose a game 4-1 when you only allow 21 shots on goal. So in other words, that might be your blueprint right there for the Nashville Predators and the way they play their style. If they're going to do anything of significance in the playoffs, they're going to have to figure out a way to – I mean, you're not going to hold teams to that low shot totals very often, but they got to figure out a way to keep it from Saros having to stop 35 to 40 shots every game. That's just not going to end well for anybody.
The dude's wore out, man. Quit making him take so many shots.
He did make some – even though he only faced 21 shots, he did still make some really good saves in this game, some clutch saves. I don't want to say that he just had a completely easy game and the Flames didn't test him. The Flames did have some good opportunities, especially in the third period. They ramped it up a little bit, but it was still nice to see Saros kind of get a little bit of a break and let his defense play well in front of him. It was a really refreshing thing to see.
Oh, Clint coming through again. Pretty sure that was Calgary's lowest shots on goal this season.
Clint, do you need a job? Do you want to be our official stat guy? Clint can just come in and give us the stats every episode.
So the winning formula for the Predators: try to limit the other team's shots on goal, stay out of the penalty box, and get your hits in, but make sure they're good and clean. And
I don't think that's asking for too much.
No, it's what they should do every night.
Especially with the way this team plays. I mean, you should hang your hat on limiting the shots on goal with the style you play. There's some teams out there where that's just not possible. They don't play that style. Right. They play they're a speed teams. They play up and down the ice. I'm thinking about teams like the Florida Panthers, where they're running gun, they're counterattacking constantly. Those teams are naturally going to give up a lot of shots on goal because they're constantly pushing the pace. Sure. A team like the Predators, they have to make these games a little bit more grinded out type of games where
and they have to score more than the other team.
Very good point that Clint makes there. You do need to score more than the other team. That is very, very important.
Will have more goals than the other team.
That should have been the number one reason. We brought up like penalty minutes and all these other things, and Clint's like, you know what, guys, you just got to score more than the other team. He makes a good point. He makes a solid point. I'm gonna do some research on that though to make sure that's actually true.
Yeah,
I didn't write that. I didn't write that in my notes.
It was a good all around win. I know Calgary was. I think they were. It was a back-to-back for them, right?
It was a back-to-back. We did face their back. We did face their backup goaltender, Villar, who is a giant, by the way.
He's a big dude.
And I can promise you that the Flames did not lose that game because of him. That dude is massive, and he made a lot of really good saves. And that was one of the reasons I liked the seats so much, is because you could really get a good look at both goaltenders. Yeah. And comparing Saros, no offense to Saros, but comparing little Saros to Villar was like it really just makes it even more amazing and incredible and unbelievable how much of a world-class goaltender UC Saros is when you really see how small he is for an NHL goaltender.
Yep.
Whereas you look at a goaltender like Villar, or Villar looked like Pecorine out there as far as his size. The dude is massive. I got to look up his actual – Vladar. I'm calling him Villar. Vladar. I don't really know a lot about him.
I'm pretty sure he's 6'5".
Yes, he's 6'5", 185 pounds, 24 years old. He's only got 25 games of NHL experience, and he's got 20 of those 25 games tonight or this season. So sorry for calling him Villar. You should have been there correcting me on that. But he was actually massive. He was huge.
He used to play for the Bruins.
He was impressive. I thought he played really well
last season, but he was like third in line behind obviously Tuukka Rask, and then that was when they had Yaroslav Halak. I think was the first year Vladar came in, and then Swayman just took over for those guys. But what he needs, I almost called him what you called him. You imagine 6'5", but have Andrei Vasilevsky's pads, how big he would be. Gosh, yeah. You wouldn't be able to he'd be as wide as the goal. You wouldn't be able to even shoot.
That's why Saros is so impressive to me. It's like he's not your prototypical
for sure
large goaltender, NHL goaltender, and he still figures out a way to be one of the best at it in the league.
Yeah.
But
up next,
I did notice that. Well, let's give our quick thoughts about Tampa Bay. Rich, how about you get us going with here? Because again, this game scares the crap out of me because yes, it's not a must-win game. Like, the Predators are sitting pretty right now as far as making the playoffs at this point. All the pressure is on Vegas right now. Like, they did eke out the 2 points, and they beat the Washington Capitals in overtime. I watched that game last night, and it was a very exciting game. We're going to touch on Alex Ovechkin later in this episode because he had a really huge, massive milestone. But Golden Knights are not going away. They're hanging around, and you still got the Dallas Stars. You've basically still got three teams fighting for 2 wild card spots, and you still got the LA Kings who could possibly – is it still mathematically possible that the Kings could fall back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they've got 92 points.
Got 92, yeah.
Vegas has 89.
So you really, you've got 5 teams because Vancouver has got at 87 points. Vancouver is definitely in must-win territory. Vancouver has to win. Vancouver has to win the rest of their 5 games while also hoping they get some help. But you can't forget about Vancouver. They're still in it as well. But the point of the matter is the Predators are in a very favorable position to make the playoffs. They totally control their own destiny at this point. They would have to literally lose their last 5 games, and then every other team around them would have to do really well to pass them. So the Predators are in a good spot to obviously make the playoffs. I think they're around 95% according to moneypuck.com, which is such a great website, especially this time of year. Like I check it every day. Like I'm checking the weather.
Tons of stuff on there. Absolutely.
Like there could be severe thunderstorms in the area, and I'm like, I gotta check moneypuck.com first.
See if they got the percentages of if it's going to hail.
Oh, it dropped 0.6% last night. Oh my god! I mean, it's hilarious, but it's such a good website. It's such a good website.
Yeah. Well, Tampa Bay is always going to be scary no matter what. They're at this time of year, they've already clinched. They're third in the Atlantic. I know they don't usually sit people to rest them as much as other sports do. And these guys are so competitive. They're obviously going to play their hardest.
It doesn't happen in hockey very much.
It doesn't happen in hockey very often, unless it's like the last game or whatever. Because that's what happened last year when they played Carolina, the very last game of the season. Like, Yossi didn't play. They just had a whole bunch of people.
If it's like the last game of the season, then they definitely like to rest people. But here's the thing about Tampa. They still do have something to play for here, Rich. They are just 1 point from having to fall back into the wild card.
They are, now that I'm looking at that.
So
you're right.
Even though all of your Eastern Conference teams are locked into a playoff spot, no one can fall out of the playoffs. You're still kind of battling for seeding. And I can promise you that Tampa would prefer not to fall into the wild card and have to play Florida or Carolina or even New York possibly in the first round, because you've also got in the Metropolitan Division, you've got a battle for that division. Both Carolina and the Rangers are tied at 106. So if you're playing an Eastern Conference team this time of year, they're definitely not resting players because they do still have some stuff to play for.
Yeah, for sure.
Terms of seeding.
You wouldn't see anything like that, but Tampa Bay is always going to be a tough opponent.
You better be ready for their best shot. I don't see Tampa. Tampa's not going to go half speed. They're not going to even go 80%. Tampa's going to go 100%. Yep. They still have something to play for here. Preds better be ready.
You'll probably see.
It's another tough test.
Yeah, you'll probably see Vasilevsky.
What I really hate about this matchup is I don't think the Preds match up well at all against a team like Tampa. I really don't. It's just it feels like a game where I hate to be so negative here. I do think the Predators played a very, very impressive game at the Stadium Series last time we played the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, that's the game we really have to go off of here for this season, obviously. And the penalties undid them in that game, if we remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. That's what I was going to bring up. They played well against them, and it was they won by one. They hung with them pretty much the whole game. It's just those penalties killed them. Last season at this time, obviously Tampa Bay was number one in the league. Vasilevsky is, he's beatable this year a little bit. You can get some pucks past him if that's who winds up being in net. It's going to take an all-out effort from the Preds like they did against Calgary. And Calgary was like we said, it was a back-to-back. And against their backup goaltender, and they still won by one in a shootout. So Tampa's going to be tough, obviously. So they need to be,
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. Let's at least get a point out of this, because if you're really wanting to seal away this playoff berth here, and let's say I would really prefer for the Predators to have the playoff spot locked up before the last two games of the season.
Yeah.
Is that so much to ask? That back-to-back to close out the season against Arizona and Colorado. The season finale is going to be against Arizona. I would really prefer that last game of the season to not mean anything. Well, it still could mean something, because it could be about wild card 1 or wild card 2.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But either way, I am just really hoping that the playoff spot is locked up before that back-to-back to end the season.
Yep. Me too.
If you go into that real quick, if you go into that back-to-back still having to worry about possibly falling out of the playoffs, I want no part in that. I don't want any part in that nerve-wracking feeling that we're going to have if they go into that game against Colorado, going into a back-to-back, still having to do work to lock up a playoff spot. No, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And then, after Tampa Bay, you got Minnesota coming to town. I got to think that David Riddick's going to play at some point the rest of the season, right? I mean,
you gotta find some opportunities to get David Riddick in. I don't think he's a liability to the point where he's going to lose a game for you.
no, I don't.
I
I
just
don't
don't
either.
feel that way. I know a lot of fans do feel that way about him. I wouldn't
Yeah,
start. I'm
definitely.
definitely going Saros against Tampa.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Because Saros has got 3 days off now. The Preds got 3 days off. It's really nice that Saros is basically going to have 5 days in a row off, where he's only going to have to play one game. In the game against Calgary, he wasn't overworked.
True.
So Saros should be able to somewhat come in fresh against Tampa. Then, yes, you absolutely start Riddick against Minnesota. And then, I mean, you can see everything work out around you. Like maybe Vegas loses a couple more times. We'll see what happens. We got to look at the full schedule here. But if some things work out in your favor around you, and let's say you can at least get 1 point against Tampa. Let's say you can eke out at least 1 point. And then let's say hopefully you can go into Calgary the following Tuesday to where you're really just smooth sailing. And you can get Riddick another start or two in that last 3-game stretch. Let Saros get a really solid, long rest, and let Saros come into that series, that first-round series, completely fresh and ready to go.
Yep, absolutely.
That's the goal.
Somebody on Twitter, I guess it was Monday, had a scenario where the Predators could clinch the wild card spot if they beat Tampa Bay, but I think it would have meant Vegas had to have lost last night.
Yeah, the magic number I think is at 4.
Okay.
You can attain the magic number by other teams losing or by you winning. So if the Predators can get 4 more points, they're in regardless of whatever happens around them. But they can also still get in regardless of what they do if Vegas loses, or if, I think that's kind of where it falls right now.
For sure.
So a lot of things can happen. The odds are extremely in the Preds' favor that they make the playoffs at this point. But crazier things, I'm sure, have happened in the past.
Yeah.
But that's why the Predators still have to play every game like it's an elimination game.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, it feels like they should be playing like this for like the last month now, at least.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's been some stinkers, that's for sure. They're giving us they're making us hurt, make our hearts hurt.
Well, that's how they always do it. They're never going to make it easy on us. They're never going to make it easy on us.
Never easy.
Tampa's playing Toronto right now tonight, and they are winning 4-0 over Toronto. Just whooping them, putting a whooping on them.
Austin Matthews. So
Tampa did lose to Detroit 4-3 earlier this week.
See, any of them can lose to any other team.
Yeah,
it's proven. It's fact.
Every team is lost to somebody not that good this year.
Everybody's gotten it.
Even Colorado has lost to someone not that good this year twice, and that's to the Arizona Coyotes. Yeah. But if one team has nothing to play for, and we can't take too much stock in tonight's game against the Maple Leafs or the Lightning, it's the Maple Leafs. They're at 108 points. They can't move up or down where they're at. They're 10 points out of first place. They're 8 points ahead of third place. So that game really doesn't mean much at all. So
I'm sure that's why part of the reason Austin Matthews isn't playing tonight.
Exactly.
I saw a quote. The coach said that he looked good this morning during the skate and he'll be playing, but there's no reason.
Why would you?
Why would you? Yeah.
Exactly. If I was coaching that team, or if I was in the front office for the Maple Leafs, there's not a chance in hell I would be using any of my best players at this point if I'm running the Maple Leafs team.
I think they still are, though, because the only 2 that they said were out. Well, I don't know who all was out, but I know Matthews wasn't playing and Jake Muzzin wasn't playing.
Well, I mean, you can't gut your entire team, but what I'm saying is I totally agree with them not playing Austin Matthews. I mean, could you imagine if you threw him out there for a game that really doesn't mean much of anything for them, and then he gets hurt and he's out for the playoffs? I mean, Toronto, that city would literally – you'd have to move and change your name and go into witness protection.
For sure.
Sure. But Tampa still does have something to play for. Like we just said, they could fall into the wild card, and I'm sure they don't want that to happen. So you better be ready to take Tampa's best shot.
Yep.
We'll see what happens there. One thing to go back to the Calgary game, and maybe I'm just being prisoner of the moment here, but I do really think that a Preds Flames first round series gives the Predators a puncher's chance to get out of the first round. Not because the Flames are a bad team, but because sometimes it's about matchups. Do you match up well with a certain team? I think the Predators match up very well with a team like the Flames.
They definitely did Tuesday. Yeah, I mean that was a fun game to watch, even with everything on the line, and we're like, they got to win or whatever. Just being a fan of hockey, just watching it, it was a good game.
Yeah. So, I think it's a series like that could go 7 games easy.
Yep.
I would still lean towards the Flames winning that series in 7. If you made me predict the series right now, I would say Flames in 7. Yeah. But I do think the Predators match up so well against a team like the Flames where maybe they could pull off a first-round upset. I give the Predators a better chance to beat the Flames than I do if they had to play the Blues in a first-round series.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but I agree.
And again, that's not a knock on the Flames. It's just about how you match up with the team.
No, but I agree with what you said. I wouldn't see them winning, but I think it would be a good matchup. The Flames just have too many scorers, man. They're just so talented. Like Tkachuk and Gaudreau and Mangiapane, and they're just shooters, and it's awesome.
And they get their starting goaltender back in there and Markstrom. I mean, yeah, they're
Yep. Justin Gambino's in here. What's up, Justin? I almost want the Preds to have to play to the last game. This current team can't handle time off. You're right. You're 100% right.
I see what you're saying, Justin, but still, I can't handle it. I can't handle going into the last game of the season against Arizona, a lame duck Arizona team that has nothing to play for, no pressure on them at all, and then you have to go in that game and win that game. That scares the you-know-what out of me. Don't want to see it happen.
It's a trap. For sure, a trap.
I also really do not want to see the Predators back into the playoffs. I do not want to see them play horrible over these last 5 games, but they still get in because other teams around them lost. And then they come into the playoffs just completely like sputtering and like there's no excitement around the team because they look so bad. No, I need to see this team prove something to me. They took the first step by beating Calgary on Tuesday. They didn't prove anything to me by beating Chicago on Saturday, the win before that. No, that meant nothing to me. That meant nothing to me. I'm sorry. Beating teams like Ottawa, like getting some of these, it's good to take care of business, but I need to see you beat legitimate playoff teams right now. They did it against Calgary. They've got another chance to do it against Tampa on Saturday. I need to see it. That's what's going to make me a believer. If they back into the playoffs, then it's going to be really hard for people to get excited about another playoff performance. Like it happens every year. They make the playoffs. What does it really mean?
Yeah, I can't remember what. So was it the third game, the third to last game when they had it clinched last year? Was that when it was, or was it the game 2 games before the end? I don't remember. But I remember we were all kind of scoreboard watching, and we were all kind of like, well, they squeaked in. Congratulations, you got the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah. And that wound up being a really good series.
4 straight overtime games. 4 games in a row went to overtime.
Yep. It didn't obviously pan out like we wanted, but everybody counted them out and thought that the Hurricanes would just roll them, and they did not.
We all left that series feeling pretty encouraged. Like, look, we didn't expect you to get to the second round this year. You pushed the Hurricanes to 6 games. It could have gone to game 7. Like I said, that last game that went to overtime as well.
Yep.
And you kind of tipped your cap. You're like, look, it sucks to lose, but you made it. This year, I'm not feeling that way necessarily.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Especially considering what this team did at the trade deadline. I mean, they didn't really do enough to. They got to stop straddling the fence of being. Do we want to be a retool team? Do we want to be a rebuilding team, or do we want to go all in? It's like you can't have it both ways. Figure out what your plan is. And sometimes I feel like this front office doesn't have a plan. They're just winging it.
It doesn't feel like it. Justin earlier in the chat said, "Get those 2016, 2017 vibes going," and hopefully that would be what it is.
Good point.
That would be amazing. It kind of feels the same way.
It's very eerily similar.
Yeah. I know one thing. If something happens and they wind up getting knocked out in the first round or whatever, the front office had better have a good plan in place to go spend some of that money and get some more scoring. Something's got to change.
I mean, you absolutely have to get Philip Forsberg re-signed first.
That's number one.
I mean, you get that knocked out, then you get a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. Like, I don't even know if David Poyle's getting any sleep anymore. Like, I'm sure he's just I don't know. Anyway. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we will get ready for this game against Tampa on Saturday. Awesome win on Tuesday against Calgary. Good job, guys. All right. So we are presented by DraftKings once again, our amazing sponsor. And hockey fans, DraftKings is really coming through for you right now, as they always do. They are the official sports betting partner of the NHL. And right now you can feel the action on the ice like never before with DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, new customers, all you got to do is just throw down $1. That's all you got to have. $1 on any team you want, any team. And you can get $150 in free bets if they win. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NHL. 21 and up restrictions apply. Please see our show notes in the episode description for gambling help and responsible gambling practices if you need help with that. You've got the daily fantasy hockey contest as well if the sportsbook's not available in your state yet, like Rich's state of Kentucky. And also, as I can say, personal experience, DraftKings is a safe, secure, and reliable source for your sports gambling. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So go do that. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code THPN. Let's go and look. Now that we got these playoff vibes, this playoff fever, even though we don't have it officially locked up yet, but it's getting close. We're going to scoreboard watch on this Dallas Flames game. Have you checked it out lately, Rich? Where are we at with that score?
Just a little bit ago, Lindsay said it was 0-0 after the first.
First intermission, 0-0. All right. Let's look at the stats here. What's going on in this game? Wow, Calgary's in another defensive battle once again. 11 shots on goal for each team through the first period. Flames already got 6 penalty minutes.
Wow.
They must have taken a page out of the Preds book. So we will keep an eye on that. We would like the Flames to go ahead and lock up the Pacific Division tonight and hand the Stars another loss. So let's see. We'll keep an eye on that. All right. So let's go back and look at some of the best individual playoff performances in Preds history.
Yep.
Now, the first ever playoff appearance for the Predators was in the 2006 playoffs. It took them 5 seasons of existence to get into the playoffs. And they had their guy, Paul Kariya, one of the all-time great Predators. Even though the Predators did lose in 5 games to the San Jose Sharks in that first playoff appearance, Paul Kariya had a really good series, putting up 2 goals, 5 assists, 2 power play goals. Paul Kariya was one of the best players the Predators had ever signed that didn't start with the team. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. You go chronologically here. 2007, the Predators once again lost in 5 games to the San Jose Sharks. Those Sharks teams in the mid-2000s,
they were strong.
I remember that. I vaguely remember just because that was really when I was starting to become a Predators fan and start really watching hockey. Didn't know a ton about the sport yet, but I really liked watching it. I just remember looking at both teams and thinking, okay, the San Jose Sharks are giants and the Predators are like regular-sized people.
Normal-sized folks.
I mean, the Predators were just getting bullied left and right against a team like the Sharks in those days.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I remember when the Sharks were an expansion team, first year they came into the league. I had a San Jose hat because I liked the logo. I thought it was awesome.
They had a cool logo. They had some really good players back in the day. They were fun. They were one of those teams that just could not get it done in the playoffs. They could not get it done. They've always been that way. They've always been the butt of the joke, kind of like the Maple Leafs. Only the Sharks don't have that history. They don't have that proud history.
You
or
mean
whatever.
The Sharks haven't been around since 1920 or whatever?
No, they haven't. They have not. All right. Here's one of my first where it really sticks out to me, where I remember, okay, this is one of the better individual playoff performances in team history. And you really got to start looking through and getting to when the Predators had a legit chance to win in the first round, because it took them a while to get over that first round hump. But 2011, do you remember a player by the name of Joel Ward, Rich?
I'm familiar with that name.
He went on to have a decent career after his Preds career. He ended up playing for the Capitals after his Preds career, and Joel Ward was Mr. Clutch. Any Preds fans, if you're watching the YouTube stream, you've been watching this team for a while, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Joel Ward was Mr. Clutch. He wasn't a Philip Forsberg. He wasn't one of the highly skilled best players on the ice all the time, but he was Mr. Clutch. He really showed up in the big moments. We do our clutch performers of the week all the time, Rich. Joel Ward would regularly have been in our clutch performers of the week if we were doing clutch performers of the week back in 2011. I think we'd be at like episode 1000 by now, Rich, if we were starting the podcast back then.
That would be so cool.
But yeah, so Joel Ward in 2011, the Predators won their first ever playoff series in 2011 by knocking out the Anaheim Ducks in 6 games. And Mr. Joel Ward scored 3 goals and 2 assists and a power play goal in those 6 games. Wow. Then you go to the next series, second round. Yes, the Predators lost in 6 to the Vancouver Canucks, which was another gigantic team with tons of superstars. Felt completely outmatched, but the Predators took them to 6 games. Joel Ward scored another 4 goals in that series, added 4 assists, had a game-winning goal in that series to give his playoff total in 2011 to 7 goals, 6 assists in 12 games.
That's strong.
Over a point per game scorer for a player that was more of a role player. He wasn't like a top line. He was a great player. He might have been in the top 6. I can't remember, but he was definitely not one of those. So he really rose to the occasion in that series.
Yep. Just proves any of them can get hot.
Absolutely. I got another one. This is way more recent. This is 2017. The awesome, amazing run to the Stanley Cup, the magical run to the Stanley Cup. How about a current player that's on the team right now, a current player that it's taken on a much different role than what people probably thought he was destined to take on at the time?
Yep.
And that is Mr. Colton Sissons. In 2017, he scored a hat trick in the elimination game to take out the Anaheim Ducks to go to the Stanley Cup final.
There you go.
How do you top that, Rich?
Awesome moment for that dude. I know that. That's incredible.
You know what's
that doesn't
crazy?
Happen very often.
You know
I don't know what the stat is, but
you know what's crazy about that entire run to the Stanley Cup that year? Sissons turned into like a huge offensive performer during that playoff run.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had 3 assists in the series against St. Louis. He racked up 3 assists. Everyone thought he had a goal. He had 1 goal and 1 assist against Pittsburgh in the Stanley Cup final. I remember thinking at the time, Colton Sissons is destined to be possibly a second line center at that point.
Would have appeared
because the Predators had already signed Ryan Johansson in a trade to send off Seth Jones. So Ryan Johansson was totally expected to be the long-term top-line center on the Jofa line, as we all know. But at the time, Colton Sissons was on a trajectory where you thought he could be a second-line center. This guy's got some offense. Yep. He's got some offensive skill, and he still does. Yeah. But he took on a completely different role for this franchise than anyone probably thought at that time.
I seem to remember he got screwed out of a goal too, didn't he?
He did. The hashtag Sissons scored in the Stanley Cup final. And all you got to do, you see the overhead still image of that, and the puck is clearly across the red line.
Somebody put something on Twitter, and it said, if you had a time machine and could change something for your team, what would it be? Kyle Perkins said hashtag Sisson scored.
Absolutely.
Never forget that.
So the thing about Sissons now is he's still so valuable to this team. I think you clearly know that, Rich, and any of our listeners who have been listening since the expansion draft episode totally knows my love for Colton Sissons.
Mm-hmm.
He just took on a completely different role than anyone expected. Now he's more of a glue guy. He's a big part of the herd line, of course. He takes face-offs. He does the dirty things. And that's great, too. You got to have players like that.
Yep. He kind of took over a little bit of the Cali Yarncroc role.
He did.
A little bit.
He did.
Kind
he
of all around, just glue guy. So
he's like the Selk. You know, the Selk Award goes to. We should call it the annual Patrice Bergeron Award.
Yeah,
but
dude wins that a lot. That's for sure.
But he's kind of like in that category of a really good defensive all-around forward.
Yep. For sure.
Did you write down any, Rich, here, or do you want me to keep going down my list?
I was trying to think of some, and I actually thought of this one, but Mike Twitter beat me to it, so I'm going to put it up there.
Good old Mike Twitter's always beating us on these.
The Luke Cunningham game winner in double OT versus Carolina. Yes, that was the one after they won that Luke Cunningham jumped up into the air and hit the glass, and everybody was afraid he was going to hurt himself.
Yes,
that was a good.
That was exciting, man. That was totally exciting. Good one there. That's good entry from Mike Twitter. Luke Cunningham, the game-winning overtime goal. Not to be Debbie Downer here, but didn't we kind of see Luke Cunningham taking another step forward in his offense this year, and it just quite hasn't panned out?
I remember us talking after the season was over how excited we were to see how well he would do this season.
And he's still a really young player. No one's saying, I'll be interested to see if he's trade bait this offseason. I don't know. But, no one's saying his career's over. He's got a long career ahead of him. But I did expect him to take a step forward, and we haven't really seen it this season, at least not offensively. And Cunningham's one of those players that's been guilty of a lot of bad penalties this year as well.
Yep.
He's
a hothead.
He's not the only one. He's not the only one, but he's one of them.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the main.
All right, that's a good one from Mike Twitter. It's a really good one. All right, I've got one from 2015. The reason why I'm framing this is such a big deal is because it's kind of when this player said, you know what, I've arrived. I'm here. I'm here for a long time. And hopefully he's here for a long time past this season. Rich, I think you know where I'm going with this. 2015 playoffs, Philip Forsberg had a really, really good playoff showing. He was still very new to the team. We knew he was skilled. We knew we got him in a trade. We traded away our beloved Martin Erat, who was at the end of his career. But Martin Erat was a very long time and important player to this early days of this team. Trade him for a young Philip Forsberg who hadn't even played an NHL game yet. It will be in the nightmares of Capitals fans forever. But in those 2015 playoffs, I know the Predators lost in 6 games to the Blackhawks. They didn't get out of the first round against a Blackhawks team that was still a dynasty at that point.
Yep.
But Forsberg still really showed out in those 6 games. Put up 4 goals, 2 assists, 22 shots on goal in 6 games. And I do remember that series and thinking, glass half full, I was like, I'm really excited about this Forsberg guy.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I was like, okay, this guy is going to be special. We've got ourselves a good offensive player finally. So I put him on the list. Also in that series, even though they lost, James Neal also had a really good series, put up 4 goals. That was one of those series where, honestly, I don't even think Predators fans were that upset about it. They were just like, look, we took them to 6 games. The Blackhawks are who they are. They're a dynasty.
For sure.
We did what we could. I remember a lot of fans thinking, we're getting there. We're getting close. We're not that far away from doing something special in the playoffs. And what do you know? I mean, they were 2 years away from going to the Cup final.
2 years away. Yep.
So pretty cool. So I had to throw Forsberg in there because that was a big deal at the time. Very good one.
Absolutely.
You got another one, Rich?
Well, so, as people know, I haven't watched the Predators as much as you have. So the only memories that I have are from the good ones anyway, are from last season against the Hurricanes.
Unfortunately, you've had some bad ones.
I have had some bad ones. We had the Dallas losing in the first round to Dallas.
There's nothing to remember from that one, Rich.
Nothing.
Trust me, I went back and looked. I went back and looked at that series. Unless you want to throw in Rocco Grimaldi, who scored 3 goals in that series. Not much to pull from that one.
The next year was the COVID year.
Nothing. The Stanley Cup bubble was a complete and utterly sad occurrence.
So excited for them to get back and play in the bubble.
We were just excited that we were getting hockey back, though, honestly.
That's true. We were. And then last season, obviously the Carolina Hurricanes taking them to 6 was awesome.
So how about we throw this one in here, Rich? How about we throw UC Saros? I'm not saying UC Saros had the best ever individual performance in playoff history, but I do think that Saros deserves some love for how he played against Carolina in that series last year.
Yep.
And I did write it down as part of the list. He put up a .921 save percentage, saved 232 shots out of 252 shots faced against a highly loaded Canes team. Most of your predictions for that series was either a sweep or maybe it would go to 5, but no one gave the Predators any chance to make that an interesting series. I totally remember looking at they put it out every year during the playoffs, before the playoffs start. Mm-hmm. They poll all the NHL experts and analysts, and they predict each series and how many games it's going to go. And almost every expert predicted a sweep.
Yep, I do remember that. I remember us talking about that, actually, for sure.
Yeah, so I do think we should show some love to Saros. And another reason why you should show some love to Saros for that performance is because that was his first playoff series where, even though Pecorine was not officially retired yet, we all knew Saros' team. It was the first playoff series real playoff series, not counting in bubble, where it was there who were going to laugh at us and be like, but wait, what about in the Stanley Cup final? He completely fell apart against the Penguins. First of all, he did not completely fall apart against the Penguins. He did have a couple bad games against that Penguins in that series, most notably the 2 games in Pittsburgh. He did. He did not perform well, and he kind of struggled a little bit.
Well, he is a human.
Yeah, right. Let's cover the entire march to the Stanley Cup final in 2017. Mm-hmm. First of all, the 4-game sweep against Chicago in the first round. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for his numbers in that series?
I am.
He made 123 saves on 126 shots over 4 games for a .976 save percentage.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Pecorine forever owns the Chicago Blackhawks franchise. Because not only did he do that, but he also eventually scored a goalie goal against them. Not in that series, obviously, but later on.
A pure goalie goal. Pure goal, too.
A pure goalie goal.
None of that. Goaltender touched it, and somebody else or passed it, and then none of that. Straight in. No,
just gangster. But Pecorine is part owner of the Chicago Blackhawks now after that. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. 123 saves on 126 shots faced over a 4-game span. Just I can't even wrap my head around it.
I mean,
but then Pecorine follows that up in the second round against the St. Louis Blues by posting a .932 save percentage.
There you go.
Which is extremely solid.
Of course.
151 saves on 162 shots faced over a 6-game span as the Preds win the series in 6 games. Then you go on to the Western Conference Finals. And Pekka puts up another very clutch and strong save percentage of .925. 172 saves out of 186 shots faced.
Hmm.
So he literally, I don't say he literally just completely carried the team because there were some really good showings in that playoffs. Forsberg had a really great playoff run there. Ryan Ellis stepped up in moments. Ryan Johansson stepped up in really good moments. It was a team effort. It was. It wasn't all Pekka Rinne. But the fact that Rinne in those first 3 series to get the Predators to the Stanley Cup final, put up those types of save percentages against those types of teams, it's got to be your number one best individual playoff performance in team history. And it's going to be really hard to beat that ever.
Definitely. What a good thing to talk about Pekka Rinne. Again, it's so awesome.
And unfortunately, the Predators don't have a long traditional playoff history like some of your blue blood teams, but hopefully we will add another one to that list this year if the Predators do indeed end up getting across the finish line and getting into the playoffs this year. Let's really hope that we can add to that list this offseason.
Yep, for sure. Get out of the first round. Be awesome.
All right, so anyone who's listening to the podcast right now, tweet the show at Catfish Ice. Tell us if we missed anybody. Tell us if there's a playoff performance you remember from a former Preds player. And share it with the show. You can share it right now on our YouTube channel. We will share it with our listeners. Or if you're listening to the podcast on the audio version, tweet us at Catfish Ice or send us a DM on Facebook. We're on Instagram as well.
Yep.
Hit us up on YouTube. Hit subscribe button while you're there. Do all the good stuff. We love interacting with our listeners, as you know.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get episode 123 wrapped up of Catfish and Ice presented by DraftKings. And we are, of course, a part of the awesome Hockey Podcast Network, affiliated with tons of hockey podcasts that are so amazing that we share.
One for every team and then some.
And then some. There's so many good ones out there that you need to check out. So make sure you follow the Hockey Podcast Network as well, at HockeyPodNet, to follow all your favorite hockey podcasts. This is your host, Chad Minton, with co-host Rich Howe. We're going to wrap up episode 123. We're going to go back and do some NHL quick hitters on this non-Preds game.
Our power rankings, too.
Oh, okay. We'll wrap up the show with the power rankings. Let's do our NHL quick hitters first. Good job, Rich. I was totally going to forget about our power rankings.
Last one of the season.
Let's talk about our news real quick. That's pretty cool. The Predators will be participating in the Global Series to open up next season
against the San Jose Sharks.
I like that opponent too. That might give us a chance to get another 8-0 win.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so amazing. Yeah. Right. So you're gonna go?
Oh yeah. We're gonna record live from Prague, Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
Hey, we got time to plan for it at least.
Yeah, just need about $10,000 each.
Oh yeah, that's chump change.
At least
chump change. Yeah. But it's gonna be cool. I hear Prague's actually one of the more hidden treasures of Europe. I really have heard that.
I think I've
heard it's a beautiful city.
Supposed to be very pretty.
Very, very cool stuff there for the Predators. Yep. They are actually going to play a preseason game against a team from the Swiss National League, SC Bern. They'll play a preseason game.
Roman Yossi's team he played for.
Very, very cool. It's very awesome.
Yep.
You'll also have the Colorado Avalanche and the Columbus Blue Jackets participating in a game in Finland. And that, again, will be to open the 2022-23 season. So very cool to see the Predators get to spread their global brand, because for branding purposes, it's really good to spread your brand out across overseas. So you might gain some new fans from over there. It's just a really good thing. And it once again shows that the NHL is very interested in getting the Predators out there for some of these games.
So it's Predators and San Jose. And then who did you say? Avalanche and
Blue Jackets.
The Blue Jackets, yeah.
A very random matchup, but it's
is a random matchup. I was going to say, the Predators out of all those considered a small market team, so it is good to get them some global recognition. But Columbus is kind of they're kind of in the same boat a little bit, I would guess. So
the last time, trivia. Well, I wouldn't expect you to know this, because I wouldn't expect anyone to know this unless you were just super, super smart and know everything about the Predators and their history. So I'm not going to even put you through this, Rich, unless you just want to guess. But when was the first international game for the Predators? When was the last time they played internationally?
I don't remember, but they played in China or something, didn't they?
Japan. Close
Japan.
enough.
That was actually a trivia question to you a long time ago that I gave you.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? And I probably got it wrong. I
don't
definitely got it
remember.
wrong.
And I don't remember what it was though.
Yeah, October 6, 2000, the Predators played in Japan. And I did get it wrong because now that I remember it, I remember being completely surprised and not even knowing that.
Yep.
I definitely got that wrong. But yeah, that's cool. So
that is cool.
Yep, can't wait for that. That's going to be a cool way to open the season.
For sure.
Let's get to Alex Ovechkin, who is – I mean, this is a bigger milestone than maybe the casual hockey fan realizes. Yeah. Alex Ovechkin hits the 50-goal mark for the 9th time in his career. He is only the 3rd player in NHL history to do that. Me and my good buddy Clayton, the Dallas Stars fan, as you all know, we actually quizzed each other on this when we read it. We didn't know who the other two players were yet, and we asked each other before going to Google and cheating. We were like, who are the other 2 players? And we both said Wayne Gretzky immediately.
Yeah, I mean.
But then we started thinking, well, who's the other player? And so then we start running through the all-time greats. We're like, okay, Mario Lemieux. You've got Jaromir Jagr. You've got Mark Messier, Brett Hull. We start naming all these players and thinking. And then what do you know? We did not name Mike Bossy.
Yep, for sure. I didn't know that until I saw it today. So, yeah, that's awesome.
We did. I got a chance to watch that Caps Vegas game, and it was a really, really exciting game. It was a really good game. I was obviously pulling for the Capitals. Of course. Capitals came back and tied it on an Alex Ovechkin slap shot, his second goal of the game to get number 50. Yep. And it was such a cold-hearted goal that he scored. He was so far out from the net and just rips a slap shot. Just completely past the Vegas goaltender. And who was the Vegas goaltender? Logan Thompson?
Yeah. I don't remember.
He was way too far out of his net, in my opinion. He came out way too far. I don't think he necessarily expected Ovechkin to rip it from that far out. But, I mean, he blasted it past the poor goaltender. Such a great way to score goal number 50.
Yeah, for sure.
So, pretty amazing stuff there.
So, yeah, he actually there was another record that he set that I looked it up. It said he is the all-time record holder for goals scored in a single season by a player aged 36 or older.
I saw that as well.
Yep. He passed Teemu Selanne.
Yes. Yep. Pretty cool.
Did you also see where he declined a penalty?
Yes,
call?
I did see that.
That was pretty funny. Everybody said that he was going to get called for embellishment, so he just said never mind. And they didn't call him. They didn't call anything on him.
There's actually another cool milestone. He's really close. He might not end up breaking it, but he's chasing Wayne Gretzky on another milestone here. Did you hear about this one, Rich?
I did not.
So now Alex Ovechkin has 158 career multi-goal games, which tied him for second all-time with Brett Hull.
Wow.
Wayne Gretzky has 189 multi-goal games. So Ovechkin's still 31 multi-goal games behind Gretzky. Probably won't catch him in that. I'd be pretty surprised.
Do you think that Ovechkin will catch Wayne Gretzky?
How close is he now?
I don't know. He's 36 years old.
I haven't tracked it. I remember trying to do the math and looking at this.
All time leading goals.
We can look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, just look up the all-time leading goal scorers in NHL history. I was tracking it earlier in the season. I was trying to do the math, like how many goals he's going to have to average to pull it off. I feel like after the season he's had this year, he's got a really good chance.
All right, so he's setting – well, if this is updated, he's sitting at 780. So he's got 21 more to catch Gordie Howe, who has 801. And Wayne Gretzky has 894. So that's like 114 more goals.
So can he pull off 2 more seasons like he just had?
He's going to have to.
Probably. I mean, I don't know if he can.
Two
But
more of that's going to get him at 100. So he's going to have to go one more season.
But the point, well, no, what I'm saying is like if he can get 2 more seasons in him doing what he just did this season, he can keep up that same pace. I mean, I'm going to lean towards he's going to fall short. I hate to say it, but he's got a puncher's chance to do it. He does. And it really depends on how much the record means to him. He might. I think he could play 3 more seasons.
He looks pretty excited. He looked pretty excited every time he would pass somebody. He was pretty hyped up.
Let's say he plays 2. So you said he's how many goals short? 114.
114.
So let's say that. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that he plays 2 more seasons after this. And he goes into that offseason at 38 years old, only 14 goals shy of Gretzky's record. You really think he's going to hang up the skates and say, nah,
no,
I'm good? He's coming back. He is coming back, and he's going to break that record.
Yeah, I think it's doable as long as
it's a matter. It's just a matter of how much longer he wants to truly play, and how much does the record mean to him. And I'm assuming it means a heck of a lot to him. So he's got a really good chance to break it.
He's a pretty tough dude too. Seems like so.
Yeah. So pretty amazing. Let's get to something that's not such great positive news, and it's unfortunate. We hate to see it. Rich, crazy. How about you tell everybody what's going on with the former Pred here?
Yeah, so apparently there was a story about Ryan Ellis. He's been hurt the majority of the season. The story basically said that like he doesn't want to hang around any of the teammates. Like he doesn't know about like how much he's really hurt, if he's going to get a surgery or anything, but he just doesn't like go anywhere with them or just doesn't have anything to do with them at this point. So
how much? I mean, I don't want to get totally bought into that possibility. I don't want to call it a rumor, but I don't want to get totally bought into that possibility until I know for sure all the facts, because that's a really like bold thing to say about a player. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't fit the Ryan Ellis that I know when he played here.
Yeah.
I feel like something's going on behind closed doors that we don't know about, whether he's being treated like the medical staff's not handling it properly in Philly. I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other because I don't know enough of the facts, and too much of it seems very up in the air. That's just, I mean.
And him being hurt, like, doesn't give him much trade value at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird to see it. Somebody had put something on there too about how he spends a lot of time still in.
So I've been really following the tweets from Anthony DeMarco, who covers. Is that the one you've been seeing? He's NHL correspondent for the Fourth Period, co-host of the Brotherly podcast, covers the Flyers, of course. And so I've really been following his updates.
Yeah.
Put a full story out there on it. He seems like a super credible journalist. And I mean, but he put out, if Ryan Ellis is ultimately not able to get healthy, doesn't want to be here, it makes the aggressive retool concept near impossible to fathom. Not to say it sounded amazing originally, but if Ellis were to come back, you could at least see it. But without him, it's hard to envision. So yeah, the Flyers are in a world of hurt right now as far as that whole, because they traded for him thinking they were getting themselves a top line defenseman.
Yeah, and I don't remember how many games he played, but I know it wasn't more than 5.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
And there's
off the top of my head,
another tweet from Anthony DeMarco here. In addition to the injury, there is a growing concern of Ellis's willingness to be around the team. According to a source, Ellis has not been seen around the team in over 3 weeks. There are some in hockey ops who are still not entirely sure what the issue is. Yeah. All I'm saying is there are 2 sides to every story, and it doesn't seem to fit the Ryan Ellis that we all know being fans of the Nashville Predators. So it's a really just unfortunate story because I love Ryan Ellis. He is such a classy,
I did too.
hardworking, great player. I hate how it ended. in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
We hated how it ended in Nashville before this happened.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
And out of the blue when it did happen, sort
Well,
of.
purely from a business standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it made sense to trade
It
him.
does.
It was like ripping the Band-Aid off a little bit there because as much as you don't, there's some players that business-wise it makes sense to trade them, but it doesn't mean that you don't still love the player and it sucks to see him go. That's kind of where I was at with Ryan Ellis. But
me too. Yeah.
we really hope that we really hope that he gets a speedy recovery. And if it's not working out with the Flyers and there's something going on where they're just not getting along, I mean, he's still only 31 years old. He should still have plenty of years left of his hockey career. So if something's not working out with the Flyers, maybe I don't know if he could end up somewhere else somehow. I don't know about his contract and all that. It might be tough to move him. Probably it is. I don't know. It's definitely going to be tough to move him if he's going to have to get surgery and with the injury concerns. I just hate it for a player like Ryan. I hate it for any player, honestly. But definitely hate it for Ryan Ellis. So we hope everything works out with that. One more thing to quickly hit on in our NHL quick hitters. The playoff format changed. Some people are out there really putting their thoughts out about this, that they don't really like the whole wild card format. They don't like the thought of – they kind of feel like it cheapens the regular season and it makes it to where you don't have a lot to play for because sometimes these wild card teams are actually drawing more favorable matchups than the two teams who made it in the top three. Yeah. So you're thinking about a team like Minnesota who maybe they would rather play a team like the Flames, but no, they're going to have to play the Blues.
Yeah, I mean that's
kind of the argument.
Yeah, that's valid, I guess. I saw somebody said something about like all the teams play like
a 1 through 16. You're talking about a 1 through 16 format?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like if we're taking the current standings right now, and it was a 1 through 16, Florida would play Dallas.
Yeah.
The Preds would have to play the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round if we were doing 1 through 16.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it seemed a little weird.
What's the point in having conferences if you're going to do it that way? I don't like that.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, the 1 through 8 format is how the NBA used to do it, and that's how the NHL used to do it. And basically, you just seed it 1 through 8 in each conference. And so if that's how it was going, then that would mean that the Predators would play – hold on, I'm looking at it. The Predators would be the 6th seed, which means they would take on Florida, Calgary. They take on Minnesota in the first round.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I know they try to build excitement with the wild card and like who's going to get in, who's not going to get in, or whatever. And it kind of like the race that the Predators are in right now. It's kind of like, are they going to make it? They're not going to make it, but I don't know.
Just leave it alone for now. Just leave it alone. That's how I feel about it. I feel like we're always finding something to argue and complain about when it comes to the NHL. It's like I get the NHL does it to themselves a lot, and the NHL does a lot of dumb things. But sometimes I feel like people are never going to be pleased. They're always looking for something to be annoyed by.
Not. If they want to do something, get rid of the shootout. If they want to do something impactful, get rid of that. I hate the shootout so much.
I get it. I'm not crazy about it either but
I like it.
Here's a middle ground for me if we're talking about that. Why can't you extend overtime to 10 minutes instead of Because I feel like 5 minutes just isn't enough time. If you extended overtime to 10 minutes, most of your games would still be decided before it gets past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you extended it to 10 minutes, you would almost ensure that it never reaches a shootout.
Oh, absolutely.
10 minutes. 10 minutes of 3-on-3 hockey is more than enough time to.
Oh yeah.
Someone's going to score a goal
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird that they do that, and that's not what the rule is in the playoffs.
I've also seen a really funny suggestion in the past from people. I've seen more than a few people offer this, and it's just honestly just trying to be funny. But they've even said, okay, after the first 5 minutes, if no one has scored, a position player has to play goalie.
Yeah. I remember seeing that.
Each team gets to pick a player on the other team that has to play goalie.
Yep. Then somebody said, if it's still not decided, the goaltenders fight center ice or something.
Hey, it would get ratings.
Oh yeah,
it would definitely get more ratings, but it'd be a little fluky. But yeah, it's still funny.
It's crazy.
We'll throw Tanner Jeannot in the net. I guess I don't know.
We will. But
good luck getting the NHL. Good luck getting the NHL Players Association to agree to that.
Yeah, I will say the playoffs are so super exciting, and the hardest cup trophy to win in any sport is the Stanley Cup, and
for sure,
that's what makes it so special is because of how hard it is to win it. So
you've got to win 16 games. You got to win 16 games of grinded out, grueling hockey with very few breaks in between.
Yep,
to win the Stanley Cup,
and with each of these teams has the ability to beat each other on any given night.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest. I think it's definitely the hardest. Definitely the hardest team trophy to win. You're not going to change my mind on that.
It's awesome.
All right, Rich, get us started on our power rankings. It's our final edition of the Battle for the Central Power Rankings. We've been doing this all season. I'll do the legwork on this. I'll tweet it out tomorrow. I'll go back and listen to the first episode of the season and see what our preseason rankings were, Rich. But I'll share that on our social media page at Catfish Ice. I'll share that tomorrow. I'll go back and look. But let's do our final edition of the season of our Battle for the Central Division Power Rankings.
Cool. Number 8 is Arizona.
Oh, breaking news. I
looked it up. They have only moved from the 8th position in my ranking twice this whole season.
I think we're about the same. I remember moving them up a couple times, but
I did a couple times, and
they came crashing down every time.
And that obviously means Chicago is 7th.
Hold on.
Started at 7th.
Hold on. Let's go back to Arizona real quick. Okay. Did you see what they're charging for tickets at this glorified high school gymnasium?
I did. You talk about jacking up the prices to try to get some money.
The cheapest tickets I saw were like $130.
That's insane.
I saw $400 tickets in like the lower section. I'm like, what's considered the lower section? Like everyone's gonna be like the $130 section and the $400 section. They're gonna be able to talk to each other. Like it's not that big of an arena.
I'm telling you, for $400, I better be sitting on the bench with the players because that's
how are you gonna charge $130 for the cheapest tickets?
I don't know.
I mean, first of all, I'm buying the $130 tickets if I got to go because I'm still going to be pretty close to the action. It's a 5,000 seat arena.
For sure. I think they're selling it as kind of a you're going to get to go
college.
Well,
experience.
you're going to get to be in a 5,000 seat arena. You're going to get to see Austin Matthews play up close. It's kind of a what I don't even know what you want to call it, but it's like we're gonna charge this money.
You'll be intimate. You want to be like close to the action. It's gonna be way more intimate than going to a large arena where you're sitting up in the nosebleeds.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's an interesting marketing strategy.
Yeah, I mean, even the people that are paying $130 are gonna have
they're gonna be really
perfect
close.
View. Yeah,
that's good. That's cool. Good. That's kind of cool. You kind of convinced me there.
Yeah.
I still didn't expect to see him that high, but
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. For sure.
Chicago's definitely number 7.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy when you look at the standings. You see how it's all winding down and how big of a gap it is between number 7 and number 8 to the rest of the field.
Oh, for sure.
Chicago is 18 points behind Winnipeg. And Chicago, I mean, I don't think they're the biggest disappointment in the league. I think that belongs to Vegas probably. But I will say that Chicago is still a pretty big disappointment this year for the league, for them as far as teams that were supposed to be a lot better. I'm not saying Chicago was coming into the season as a top 2 team in the division or anything like that. But I think a lot of people expected a lot more out of them than what they've gotten.
Huge expectations, that's for sure.
I mean, they're going to finish. They're going to finish under 70 points most likely.
Yeah.
That is a horrendously bad season for a team that was
Yep.
supposed to take another step forward. And they've
Seth
got
Jones.
some good. They've got some. Yeah, they made the big move for Seth Jones.
He's going to be making $9.5 million next season.
They made that big move to get Marc-Andre Fleury, and they ended up unloading him at the trade deadline to Minnesota, which we're really happy for Fleury that he got out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
But just a completely horrendous season for Chicago, and I'm not going to shed one tear about it.
Nah.
I might shed I'll shed a happy tear. How about that?
Yep. For sure.
But definitely number 7. Number 6 is definitely going to still be Winnipeg. Again, another pretty big gap between number 6 and the rest of the field. We thought Winnipeg was going to make a late push there, and they were trying.
They're on a 3-game losing streak right now.
Another team that is a huge disappointment, though. They should have been a little bit better.
I don't remember what episode it was, but I was kind of flipping back. I had them. Oh, week 8 when we started doing this, they were number 1. They were on a 7-game win streak, and they were sitting at the top of the Central Division.
You're really making us not look too great right now. We had them number 1.
But they were at the time.
They were.
They were like at the top of the Central Division. So,
and they completely fell apart. That's good, though. That goes to show you how much it can change.
Yep, for sure.
All right. Are we ready to finally believe in the Predators and put them ahead of Dallas?
I did. Dallas has had bad games too. So,
you know what? Only because of that Calgary win, I will agree with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really, I'm not super confident when I say that.
Yeah. I mean,
a 7-game series against Dallas, if it happened, I'm still thinking it would go 7.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, just you look at their record, how close it is. Yeah, I think I agree 100%. Yeah, it's weird.
If the Preds lose that game on Tuesday against Calgary, and they lose to another legitimate playoff team, then I'm probably going to put Dallas ahead of them at this point. But since the Preds did prove me wrong and proved something to me by beating Calgary on Tuesday, that really did mean a lot to me about this team. I will go ahead and put them ahead of Dallas. Dallas, of course, is going through a really, really rough patch right now at the worst time. They're going through a similar spot to what the Predators were going through there for a little bit. So
it's funny how they're so close together as teams.
They really are. They are tied 1-1 with the Flames right now. We said we'd update you on that game as we went through. It's now coming down towards the end of the second period, and it's a 1-1 game. That guy, Jason Robertson, who's one of the good up-and-coming young stars of this league,
dude, a stud,
he just scored his 38th goal of the season with a power play goal. The young Jason Robertson, who was a rookie last year, is pushing the door on 40 goals this season. So that game's tied 1-1. We'll keep an eye on that game.
For sure. Yeah, he's really awesome. I like him.
All right. We got a tough one here. We got the Blues and the Wild. They're both tied at 103 points. I think we're going to agree on this, though. Even though the Minnesota Wild are technically in second place thanks to tiebreakers and also because they do have one less game played than St. Louis, I'm still going to put the Wild at number 3 and the Blues at number 2 in our final rankings.
I did that as well. St. Louis in their last 9 games only had 1 overtime loss. So that's why I'll put them in second.
St. Louis is also a plus 68 goal differential on the season, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas the Preds are plus 20, so they're kind of closer, but that's still that's still impressive, especially considering the Preds have had so many lopsided losses and they're still plus 20 overall. Yep. So that's pretty good. But Minnesota, I'm sorry. I think Minnesota is one of those teams that's going to be destined to possibly be a first round exit because they're going to have to play St. Louis. Even if they get home ice advantage and they do finish in second place,
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and call my shot right now. At the very worst, it goes 6 games, but I could see St. Louis actually knocking out the Wild in 5.
I tend to agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I think St. Louis would definitely.
I think it's going to be it's going to be a very quick and painful series for Minnesota Wild fans. I'm sorry.
I hate to say
I just don't think they're quite there yet. They do have some really good players. They do have some good scorers.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're quite there yet as far as winning in the playoffs. Whereas the St. Louis Blues, they are ready to win now. They've got veterans. They've got proven scorers. I don't like Jordan Bennington at all, but I don't even know Jordan Bennington is going to be their starter. It might be Husso for all I know.
I think it's probably Husso.
The Blues have a really good defensive core. They've got it all. They check all the boxes to win a Stanley Cup this year. And I don't like saying that, but I'm being objective here.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why some Minnesota Wild fans don't like this whole format where 2 has to play 3 in the first round.
That makes sense.
I do understand that perspective there because it's like, oh, yeah, we worked hard to get second place in the division all season, and we get to play the third place team in the first round.
Yeah, the buzzsaw that is St. Louis right now.
That's why I do kind of understand why some fans are upset about the playoff format.
Yeah. St. Louis, man, I'll give them props. They came on at the right time because they are just destroying teams. So it's awesome. Good for them, I guess.
And then, of course, no questions here. The team that's been at the top all season pretty much for us, Colorado Avalanche. I think at one point we really stupidly didn't we put the Preds ahead of the Avalanche for 1 week?
Oh, well, probably a little bit because remember they were really bad. Like they had a bunch of hurt players and they were
they had a bunch of COVID players.
Yeah, and we kept saying Colorado, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
This same team has also lost twice to the Arizona Coyotes this year somehow, which makes no sense whatsoever. But either way, Colorado Avalanche, 116 points. They are battling neck and neck with the Florida Panthers for the curse of the President's Trophy. So
that's what I wrote.
Is that what you wrote down too?
I said, will they get the President's Trophy, and do they want the President's Trophy?
I don't think they want it. I think they'll happily. First of all, they have no reason to play for it. They're going to be the top overall seed in the Western Conference no matter what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
So Florida Panthers, by the way, we're looking at goal differentials here. So Colorado's plus 86. Florida is plus 103.
That's insane. Wow.
I mean, I would be very interested to go back and look at some of the highest goal differentials in past seasons because that's got to be up there.
I would think that would be one of them. Yeah, they beat Detroit tonight 5-2. So that put them at 103 tonight. Telling you, man, Florida doesn't win the Stanley Cup this year. It's going to be.
Oh, they're not going to win it.
Yeah, probably not.
The top team that shows out in the regular season for whatever reason just can never figure out a way to make it through the playoffs. That's why we say it's the hardest trophy in sports to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be crushing for those
guys. All
right,
real quick then, Rich, real quick. Let's do this to wrap it up. Episode 123. I'll give mine after you give me yours. Give me your dark horse team. And it doesn't have to be like a wild card team necessarily, but just give me an under the radar dark horse team that might be able to win the Stanley Cup. You can't say Colorado and you can't say Florida. Don't say Tampa, but I'll let you pick some of these other teams.
Who has a legitimate chance? I would want to say Boston, but I don't think they have a chance. Pittsburgh, maybe. They seem to be playing really well.
If Pittsburgh wins it, I'm going to.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but yeah, right.
I'm going to go with the rival team of Pittsburgh. We were just talking about Alex Ovechkin.
No, I was actually going to say him too, or them.
The Capitals.
I would be definitely okay with that.
The Capitals are in the wild card right now in the Eastern Conference. They are the second wild card team. They could figure out a way to move up and get out of the wild card. It's still possible for them. But right now, they are the final wild card team in the Eastern Conference. And we've already talked about this plenty of times. The Eastern Conference is so stacked from top to bottom. You can't even really pay attention to playoff seeding when it comes to the Eastern Conference because, honestly, all 8 of those teams could go on a run.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say right now, Washington Capitals, they're my dark horse under the radar Stanley Cup pick. I'll take them. You can take Pittsburgh.
So if they're second in the wild card, that means they would play.
They play Florida.
Which one? Florida. Okay.
Yeah. But they might get out of that. They might get out of that spot.
Yeah.
If they can pass Pittsburgh, who's only 2 points ahead of them, then they could avoid playing Florida, and then they play the Rangers in the first round. Either way, you're in the Eastern Conference. You're going to have a tough first round matchup. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. I wanted to say Boston Penguins blank them tonight.
No, I think that's a good pick by you. Penguins is still a good pick. That's still a good pick. You'll take Penguins. I'll take Washington Capitals. We're going to do a full – once the playoff field is officially set and the regular season's over, we're going to do a full episode special playoff preview.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to try to line up some good guests for that episode. We will do all of our playoff predictions. We're going to predict every playoff series for our playoff special episode.
Love the playoffs.
Hopefully the Predators will be involved in those predictions. So we will save our Stanley Cup picks for that episode, but we just did give you some dark horse picks there.
Yep.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. I got to get ready to move out of my house. I am pretty much my house is destroyed right now. I'm moving out in less than 48 hours out of my house. And as I get ready to go on my journey to Tampa Bay, Florida, that's where I'm moving.
You're going to have a yard sale, right?
Yeah, big old yard sale. If anybody wants to buy a sectional couch, I will give it to you. You don't have to pay for it. I just want you to get it off my property.
Just take it. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, but yes, I'm getting ready on my journey, and I'll leave you with this. The coincidence of all coincidences here. The day I'm moving out of my house, as I get ready to move to Tampa Bay, Florida, the Predators play the Tampa Bay Lightning.
It's what do they call that?
That's a coincidence.
It's a coincidence. Good coincidence.
Pretty strange. That's pretty strange. All right, awesome. I need the Predators to go ahead and take care of business there and make me feel better about that.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. This has been Catfish on Ice, episode 123. We hope you have a great weekend. We will see you back next week for a brand new episode of Catfish on Ice, presented by DraftKings and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a good one.